10 to 4-ish, apart, same chart pattern, pull back. Yup. That's what happens with patterns, that's why I kind of look at a lot of that as well. I always look at time. That's why, like, if you notice, like, if you hang with me through the session, you'll realize I called time a lot. And that's really what it is. It's me mentally kind of marking the time because I'm looking for that top of the hour move and that bottom of the hour move normally, that's the position that I'm expecting to see if I can catch some volatility and might offer us a great trade. So 9 times out of 10, that's the reason why I'm talking about time is I'm keeping an eye on it because I expect some kind of volume to kick in. I talked to Blasky and some of the other coaches here, and they mentioned, that can be imbalances that happen at the top of the hour. So that's what I actually ended up coming to the realization is that, that top of the hour, usually about 9 to about 11 minutes after the top of the hour, you get that real volatility. That's specifically when I'm looking for. It is about that, 9 to 11 minutes after the top of the hour is the volume to kick in then. My kind of idea is that we're making some wick to some 1 hour candle, whether the wick is to the upside or the bottom side. It's, dependent on the trend and stuff, so that's usually how I kind of frame it in my mind. I'm not hearing anything about Trump speaking right now. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything that Trump might be speaking right now. So I don't believe he is. Is he scheduled to say anything today? No, I'm waiting for my trade now because I took that scalp instead of holding it for the trend long. I was trying to be a little, I was trying to knock out my money. I want to get back to being green. You know, Either that or being positive. Yeah, a little bit of that pullback. There's no way they're gonna hit my entry. I might as well just delete it off the chart. There's no point in even having that on there. It's laughable. It is pretty bad. I need to get that out of there. There's no reason to even have that there anymore. Let's get rid of this. Let's just wait for the trade. Let's figure this out. Let's drop our timelines because there's an entry here. We just have to figure out where it is. Maybe we could find an entry at 814. How about that? Let's throw a bid at 814. And let's see if we can catch a bid there. If this thing is gonna stay bullish, let's see. No news articles and postings on talks going on as well. Yeah, that's all I'm hearing is just, a lot of, it feels like, there's them really just trying to promote that there are talks, trying to give people hopium. That's what it feels like to me, right? I could be wrong. Like I could definitely be wrong on that. But it feels like that, they're just trying to throw the dog a bone, they're just trying to throw the dog a bone, make him happy. Man, are we going to be able to catch our ride on this? I hope so. Now you're doubting. It depends on how much you've already gained. It's all relevant to what your highest your date is. So here's a trick on that, Amara. So what you got to do is you go into your trade profile, that account profile where you see all the trades in there and it says your consistency and stuff. Take a screenshot of that. Then go to Claude and paste that screenshot into the chat and then tell it, hey, I need to get to 21% consistency. I want to do it in 3 days. And then, you know, how much are you trying to get to of a payout and all that? And then it'll tell you like your max amount that you can gain for the day is. It'll tell you your max, what your max win needs to be. And then you can set accordingly. So what I usually do is like, since I use a lot of automated trade strategies, I have hard daily profits and daily losses for the day on my accounts. That's all I use. That's exactly what I use. And then I go out like $3 or $4. It doesn't, it's technically blank until you make your first trade because your first trade sets the precedent for what that 20% consistency is. Because remember, Amoro, if like say for instance, you take a trade right now, you make $5 off of it. That means your highest day is $5. So then your highest day cannot exceed more than $5. You know what I'm saying? So don't, if you haven't taken the trade yet, what you need to focus on, here's the trick to it. What you need to focus on is what amount of money you regularly make. Do not think about the consistency rule. Think about the normal average daily profit target you hit a day. If it's like 250, then stay at 250 because that's a number that you know you can hit regularly and that will get you to the consistency. So I would start there and then scale down because it's easy for you to manage what you know and then taper down from what you know. Because maybe you know you have a banger day and you make like $400, right? But that means that maybe for the next 2 or 3 days you can only make maybe 380 at the most because you have to bring down your highest day average. You have to start making less to lower it over the course of days that highest days earning. You know, Drew, you might be onto something right there. You know, do not make more than $600. You know, that's probably the right, the right advice there because that's a good number. You know, it's not too much, it's not too little, right? You know, it's good enough to be that's pretty good money, right? But it's not too much to where it's not like amazing money. So, and you probably with the right sizing can get yourself consistent on that. Really, that's probably the real trick to what you just said right there is, you know, you got to pick a number that's falls within your consistency. And I feel that that's probably more important than necessarily shooting for, the 600. You got to start off with what you're consistent at because then, if you know that you're consistent at that number and maybe it's too high or maybe you had a banger of a day, you already know you just taper off, right? You size down, you don't take as much profit, or tomorrow you don't feel all that pressure that you need to make as much as you did yesterday, you know? Yes, yeah, you need to lose that. Yep, what a problem to have. Now the real thing is that means that you're gonna have to have another. You'd have to have like three more $1,100 days to offset your day. That's what you would need. You would need three more $1,100 days to offset your consistency. But you should never lose money on purpose. Steve is absolutely right on that. You know, if you move the goalpost, then you move the goalpost. You have a little bit more money in there. You know, losing money is learning bad habits. You know, and you should not be learning bad habits like that. Yeah, just make more. I mean, I've had to do that with evals. You know, I've had to do that. I mean, you know, I've got a couple of PAs right now that they're dealing with consistency issues, but easy enough. I just can't make more than 389 dollars in a single day. Oh. Capped off at like 380 bucks. But I'm not gonna lose money. Uh, well, teach people how to make money, not teach people how to lose money. Wrong channel, wrong Discord, my friend. Karen. You you guys are funny. I've been there myself. I'm telling you, man. I've had to make more money and raise my consistency, raise my profit target because I made more. Done it plenty of time. Oh, not so much. I'm so patient and stuff, and then sometimes my consistent the way my consistency works, I won't hit it in 2 days. So it'll take me, a couple of days to pass it. And by that time, the passing amount is usually like $100, $200. Yeah, like $100 to $200. And I won't stress over that. Like that doesn't phase me at all. I don't care. I can have like 3, 4 accounts like all at $200, $300 away from passing it. I won't touch them. I'll just leave them. But you can, because then if you mess them up, you mess up the process. You know what I'm saying? So, just the trading is different. It really depends, if I'm manually trading or if I'm auto trading. If I'm auto trading, then I'm leaving that thing. I'll blame it on the algo. I'll fire the algo. That's not bad though. Tomorrow in that new account, you're already up 1.1K. I mean, think about it. You just need three more $1,000 days. You could do that. Oh man, we're getting a nice push. We're 9 minutes into the London close. I can't believe I missed this whole trade. I feel like such a fool. Oh my god. I'm just sitting here watching this go by. Look at that. Look at that. That was in here and I could have just held it there. Hindsight, right? Take a deep breath, brother. Take a deep breath. Go do a lap in the kitchen. Go grab yourself a cup of coffee, man. Is it a funded or is it an eval? Sim funded. Damn, it's gonna be kind of a sticky one. Well, I mean, look, think of it like this. You're in the cushion phase. So that, if anything, is just going to give you more cushion, right? You're not going to have to start all over. You're just adding to it. And at the end of the day, that money will still be there for you. So it's not like if you lost it. So, don't think of the cup being half empty. Think of the cup being more full now, because you've added more to it. Still no entry? You tell me, bro. Did you see the entry? I missed it. I'm still reeling over the fact that I paper handed this. I'm so glad Ace isn't here. If Ace was here, he'd be calling me out right now. I could already see it. He'd be snickering in here. I'm actually waiting because I want to get on this trade as well. I want to get in on this bullish run. So I'm kind of sidelined and I'm still down myself in this account. Chart's getting a little laggy though. Yeah, I'm just waiting for a decent pullback again so that way I can get in on it. I like that 26 pullback and then I'll jump in on it. That'll at least give me some confirmation, you know? I don't like chasing anything, you know? It's not my thing. Do you chase trades sometimes, Prawn? No. You don't chase them? It feels like you should sometimes though, right? But I try not to, man. They just don't work out for me, you know? Man, I can't believe I didn't get more of a pullback. That entry was so beautiful too. God, I'm so mad at myself. Oh, can we get the rejection here though? What are we gonna do? Breakout spot still at 25,915. That's what I'm still waiting for us to get up to. If we can get over there. It's like crypto is holding up, trying to hang on to for dear life. Stop buying, you animals. I know, Tip. I know, man. I know it's not what you want, bro. The bears all over are in disarray. Yeah, I like her little emote. It's cool. Welcome to the party, you filthy animal. You filthy animal. It is the blow up top, man. It is. I'm watching it, man. I'm not fighting the trend right now. I've been trying to scalp and try to get into this uptrend. Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, saying gasoline prices could be higher for just a few weeks. Don't worry about that gas prices. They might be higher for just a few weeks. Man, it must be nice to spend other people's money. Higher time frame. There's a 90% of a drop at 26K. Well, we just broke through your 75% chance of a drop. Man, it's getting slim. It's getting slim up there, my friend. I mean, we saw that yesterday. We saw that yesterday. We saw that in what was that range? It was like it was my breakout range from yesterday. that we had marked out. If the chart ever comes up at some point. Or maybe it's because you're not using your magic pen. Maybe it's because you're not using your magic pen. Yeah, because it was right here. Because it was right here, and then all of a sudden it just went, and it was just something, just rocket ships. All this happened. Man, we are getting a nice push up, and it is not giving us any entry at all into this thing. This is so upsetting. Man, I just want a pullback so I can get in on this thing, please. Just a little bit of a pullback. Come on, give me the 26. Give me like 25, 849. Please. Just like, come on. Let's have an entry in this thing, man. Don't be greedy. Getting that ripper to the upside with no opportunity to get on. I tell you. What a day. Geez, look at that, man. That cooking these bears, I tell you. That's insane. You know, Tip, maybe the problem is your chart is upside down. Maybe you need to flip your chart over and draw the lines that way. Check bookmark to see if we find an entry from point of control. Well, I'm telling you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you could take an entry off of 872, and you could take an entry off 25 853. I just won't use bookmap because I don't use it enough to describe and explain to folks here anymore how to use it. And it's also it's normally a paid service. I know that there's free versions you can view, but there is a paid version of it. So I try not to focus on like paid stuff. Zoom out analysis. Yep. Okay. Let's get out to the, you know what? Tip likes the 2 hour, and I've been kind of scoping out the 2 hour. See, possibly at 838. This is too much. It's too much on the chart, though. Let's try the 4 hour. Check him for what though, Prawn? My levels kind of work for me and stuff. And I can't really like promote other people's coursework and stuff, you know? That would be the only difficult thing about it. Let's see here. It's the book map. Yeah, I'll ask the team if they're okay with me showing bookmap here on the stream. Like I said, it's a third-party tool, so it's not our own tool. So unfortunately, I can't show tools that are licensed and copyrighted to other businesses, sir. I hope that I hope that clears it up for you. I apologize for that. It's not necessarily because I don't want to. It's just that it's licensed to another business that owns it, and we can get in trouble for that. Ah, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Well, let me see if I can get you some levels, okay? Let me see if I can get you some levels you can trade off of here. I mean, we're almost at my breakout level. That was a breakout level I did also point out to you as well, sir. So I did mention that 25,916. If you get a 15-minute candle above that, that would also be a bullish candle for you then to take that long and then look for 26,132. So hopefully, that also might be helpful to you. Oh, should have done that earlier. Should have came into these time frames. Morning, Tiffany. Okay. There you go, Prawn. So you've got a support at 870. You could take a long at. Then you've got another at 25, 853. And then you have another at 25, 839. And then if you get that candle to close above, that next one would be at 25,960. But I would more so right now for the time being look at that as an upside target, not so much like an entry point right now. Morning so far, so. I scalped the trade and I should have held it a lot longer than what I did. I'd be managing the position right now. There was really no reason for me to have even gotten out of the trade. So I'm really kind of upset with myself. And then I missed the pullbacks. So we got a couple of entries now showing here on the chart. So we're just waiting kind of for a pullback to see if we can jump in for this long if it maintains. Woodward. NQ is going to hit 26K today, I am sure. We're not too far from it. That's for sure. I mean, it's a nice target there. Well, hopefully you didn't blow the account. Hopefully you're just down and not able to withdraw right now. And it's not something that you can't fix either tomorrow, either later today or tomorrow. So just think of that. Making a mistake, being wrong, losing in a trade, it's not the end of the world, and you can't make it be the end of the world because if you are, then you're doing it wrong. Well, Tiffany, it's time to learn. What do you need to do that? You know, I, in all honesty, I was expecting us to consolidate. I didn't think we were going to get the rip in the lunch. So that was really unexpected for me. So that's unfortunately, you know, if it's all about anxiety, then you have to subject yourself to it. You have to push through it. You have to start taking the trade and you have to think to yourself, I have to hold this. Otherwise, I'm never going to see what this thing could do. And you have to be okay with it breaking even or stopping you out. You have to be able to be okay with that. Like sometimes you guys will see me that the trade will come far back on me and you guys will ask, hey coach, you let that come back, pretty far on you, but I have to. I have to. Otherwise, I'll never get that killer, 100 tick trade, I'll never get those big trades if I keep, being scared and then, always taking profit. I'll never meet the objective of my goals because I'll always be stuck with the woulda, coulda, shoulda that I should have done that. I should have held it longer, you know? And it's hard, because you got to balance out. Are you green for the day? That's usually what I really focus on. If I'm green for the day, if I'm green already, then I'll just hold it because it's a free trade. If I'm red, like I am, I'll cut it early until I get green. But then also I have to realize is that sometimes that's not the best choice, because right here, I would be green. I'd be up probably like, $40 right now on the day on this account, but instead I'm still down 97 and I gotta wait. Now I'm over here waiting on hands because I'm waiting for the opportunity to arise for me to be able to take my entry. You know, I feel the pressure. I want to take a trade because I want to make up my negativeness because I'm down, Don't get me wrong. I got the same desire that you guys do. I want to take it, make it and move on with my life. But, you know, it's just not how this thing works. I already know that if I start just taking the trade without waiting for the setup, I'm going to end up losing. And this 97 is going to end up being 197 again, which I mean, I've just taken out a few points of it. I just took a little peck at it. I think I made like $40 on the last trade. So now I'm just kind of waiting. I don't hold my losers too long. I think I think I could manage my trades better and probably capture more profit if my sizing was a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie, Tiffany. I suffer from that. I think my sizing could be a little bit better. And if I were to be a little bit more strict on my sizing, I probably could have a better result, you know? So it's always gonna be kind of like you're always gonna cut your losers a little early. You always feel like that, but you have to be okay with that. That's just the reality of it. You have to be okay that you cut the winner a little early because you're doing your best to hold it. Holding a winning trade is exactly that. Is holding it as long as you can. You get rid of the loser fast because nobody wants the loser, but the winner is the one that you got to bleed it. You got to bleed it like a dead horse. You got to drain it out, everything that's got in it to give you what you need. And you just have to remember that and you have to be strict and true to that. You're like, hey, you're in that losing trade too long, get out of it. That's why you see me in the trade there and I'll just get out of it. Because I rather be done. I rather be done with like $20 on the loss rather than hold it. And then it's like, $150 loss. Because then it means I have more of a deficit I have to start, making up for. And welcome to New York lunch, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New York lunch. Closed up the London session. Can we maintain this long, though? I'm going to drop time. I'm going to put a bid. $24.90. It's just part of it. The best thing I can say is just keep practicing at it. Get your risk management. It comes like that. Sometimes you're going to have good days and some days you'll have bad days. You have to have limits on yourself on the day, though. Like, a lot of us do, max losses for the day and stuff, because that's what's going to give you longevity in the market. The longer you wait for it, uh, the longer you wait and you don't find some type of self control or self management of yourself in your trading day, the longer you're going to suffer and you're going to deal with those type of issues in your trading. Because that is ultimately it, is you don't have a boss, right? None of us have a boss in this thing, right? So we are our own boss. Now, are you a good boss or are you a bad boss? That really is the best question that you need to ask yourself. Are you a good boss? That you're setting yourself up good guidelines and good work ethics and a good code of conduct that you're adhering to by not taking, degenerate trades, oversizing. Are you breaking company policy by over leveraging, stuff like that? Think about it. Think about it. You're running your business. What kind of company policies are you creating for your business if you're not adhering to those good policies? You got to think of it like that. That's what makes this thing so hard, is that there are no guardrails. There's no one there to tell you, hey, do not do this because you're going to subject yourself to a risk that you could blow the account in a single trade. Hey, sometimes it's like that. But you know what? If you know it, then you're halfway there. You're halfway at acknowledging what some of your problem is. Now you just need to put your thumb on it and figure out, what do you have to do? What does Tiffany have to do for Tiffany's own success? For you to become your own employee of the month, what does Tiffany have to do for herself? Is it a 5 trade rule that you're only going to take 5 trades? You're going to limit yourself at a $350 max loss for the day until you can find consistency within that you can hone in on your good trades. How many setups are you able to take in a normal day, based on your strategies? How many strategies do you know? Have you mastered 4, 5, or 6 or 7 different strategies that that in a given day you can find, 5 to 10 opportunities? You're the one that knows that. You can go into your trade journal and you can look at that kind of stuff and pencil it in. Be like, oh, okay, well, Tiff, oh, I only do good from 3 to 4 because I know that's the London and blah, 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 blah. Then that's your time. Then you should be trading at that time. That's the time that you should be trading. If you notice that your trade is happening at a certain time of day, that's the time you should be trading at. You should not be trading at another time and focused on that. It's all about building on what works and what doesn't, and not what doesn't, I should say. You need to focus on the wins because that's what's going to create a larger windfall for you. How do you capitalize? How do you exploit your wins? Exploit your wins. Dissect what is working for you and then exploit that. Hack yourself. Hack your trade. What can you do to improve on it? Maybe you take a second con. Maybe you take profit at 25 points on the first con, and then you put your stop at break even on the remaining contract. And you're like, oh, you know what? Now you just created a reoccurring positive trade for yourself, that you're taking 20 points, you're putting money in the bank. And if that sucker goes and it runs on you, what do? You just made money. Cha-ching. It is not that complicated, ladies and gentlemen. It is not that complicated. We are what complicates it. We are what makes this hard and impossible and insurmountable and the biggest obstacle we have ever encountered in our lives, is because we are fighting with ourselves. You're fighting with yourself. You're fighting with your need. You're fighting with your stubbornness. You're fighting with you having to be right. And it's not about that. It's about making money. So I don't care if I'm right. And you know what? Trading has taught me that at this point in my life. Before, I used to love to be the know-it-all. I love to be the know-it-all and know more about whatever than everybody else. And now trading taught me that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to be the know-it-all. It taught me to be content and just happy with myself. And I'm fine with that. And that, trading has taught me that for a long time. I wasn't really content with who I was and where I was until I started trading. And then trading, I've said it countless times on stream. Trading made me the best version of myself that I've ever been. If y'all had met me, 8, 9 years ago, I was a very different person than I am now. And I feel that trading has made me just such a better person overall, you know, in all aspects of my life. It has honed my skills and my senses. It's really odd, you know. I have a different perspective on my life. I'm able to analyze and manage stress in different ways than I used to not. I was like you guys. I've broken stuff, I've thrown stuff, I've kicked stuff, I've been everywhere in between. And it wasn't until I got to this point that I got okay with where I'm at. I'm okay with it. Thank God to my wife. She's taught me that. Coach Becky's, I love her. I always say, you gotta be okay with your pieces. Cause that's her little slogan. You got to be okay with your pieces. Look, Pron's here asking me, take a trade. Where's the entry? Where's the trade? Where's the entry? And look, we took the trade. Did he take the trade? I don't know. That's not for me to decide if he took the trade. He's got to decide where his entry is and when is the right time for the market. Because you know what? I'm not sitting in his chair. I'm not sitting there on his lap with my hand on his right wrist, moving over his left finger of clickiness, ready to hit buy. I'm not doing that, nor would I want to. I'm sitting here in my cozy office and I already placed my trade. And he needs to as well. And you guys need to as well. It's all about finding your levels and attacking them and being okay with what the loss is going to be. You're going to be wrong. You're going to be right, but you got to manage it. All of us trade differently. I watch a lot of different people trade. I watch a lot of different traders trade, but my job isn't to trade like them. My job is to trade like myself and to be the best trader I can be, make money for myself, hopefully instill some great trading habits into my community and help them find their path. Because this is a very intimate journey. I don't use anything special on my chart. There's nothing special on my chart. There's nothing on my chart that makes my chart so much different than yours, other than it's mine. Exactly. The market will humble you very quickly. And I've learned it. I thought, you know what? I had moments that I thought I was a hot shot. I thought I was going to be him. I thought I was going to be that next trade guru because you know what? Nobody's going to suffer and subject themselves to what I'm willing to subject myself to learn and to be successful at that. That's my stupid super skill that I thought that by me sacrificing and subjecting myself to the rigors of learning in the manner that I did, that would separate me from most other traders. And it didn't. I mean, the result was somewhat what I expected, that I would be able to have the tools to be successful at this thing. But at the end of the day, it didn't benefit me more. As a matter of fact, I probably would think it probably hindered me because I had this false sense of hope. I had this false sense that I was gonna be good at it because I'm doing this. And it still doesn't turn into the same thing. Exactly. I was supposed to be a millionaire 18 months ago. And it's not. You know? Now I've lost cars based off trades, and that hurts. I've cried, from losses because of how big of a catastrophe it was. So I feel the burn. I know it very well. I've walked in those shoes before, and it's not fun. It's not fun. And you know what? Not a lot of people want to do that. I would never put that on anybody because it's not fair and it's not nice and it feels horrible, you know? And the way you'll feel at the end of the day, you'll, I don't even want to think about it because I know it that well. All right, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can stay in this trade. I don't want to get stopped out. Can we get that slow grind upward? We're right at that breakout spot that I had mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, a lot of overhead resistance here at the 25915 mark. You know, this is a pretty strong bearish order block that we've got to eat through. You know, we've got all the way up to 26K that we've got to penetrate through. So, you know, this whole there's a huge amount of sell orders all through this whole block here. So I wouldn't imagine it being an easy spot to get through. Narcissist. You know, I don't know, Tiff. You know, for me, it was different. You know, I think those low points in my life, for me, it's different. You know, for me, it usually comes down to where like I'm just stressed and I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired of gambling every day. I'm tired of the uncertainty. I think the uncertainty is what gets me, you know, after like being in a losing streak for a minute, the uncertainty is what worries me and it gets me, you know. That's the most difficult part for me is that, you know, am I going to make it back? How long is it going to take for me to get out of this hole to get back? Cuz I know I can do it. See, I know I can do it. That's the problem. I know I can do it, but I also know it's not going to happen overnight. And then I know that it's going to take me a little bit of time. And how long is that going to be? Do I have time to endure that? And do I have the mental capital to push through to get to that point? Which I do. I'm dad. I'm dad. You know, I'm dad. You know, I fix stuff. I fix shit, right? That's my job for my family, right? That's my super skill that my wife and kids put on me that dad fixes everything. Dad can fix everything. And that's probably the biggest problem, the pressure I have out of it all is dad can fix it. Did you get into that prom? I hope you're in that already. You're probably stacked into it a few counts already. Yeah, Tipped and me and some of the guys, general, you know, we've been together what like 6, 7 years now, something like that. We've been together a long time. We've been in the trenches together. That's why having a trade buddy is just invaluable. You know, having someone you can kind of talk to and, you know, be honest with, you know, talk about what's going on. It's rough, you know. I mean, shit, I know, you know. No, sometimes you need that payout money because it's gonna help you pay a bill, pay something off, you know, get you caught up, you know, and you don't get to that payout because you miss it and stuff. I feel that burn, you know, I've been there many a times. Right on. You know, I think the biggest thing on it is if you're not sure, just take a smaller lot size. You know, don't forget you got M2K. You could trade the mini micro of the Russell. You know, that's open to you guys as well. It doesn't have to be the bigger, you know, it doesn't even have to be M and Q. Yeah, if you're struggling, you know, you can always flip over to MES. It's a slower moving indice. Yup, Ron. And you know what? You made me go hunt for it, didn't you? And look, we got the pullback on the 90 MA. You know what? Coach Matt loves the 90 MA, right? We're up a few bucks. We've almost taken out a third of our draw of our loss right now. Hopefully we can get that move up to 915. I mean, it's close. She's trying. You got out. I'm still holding it. You guys can see I'm holding it. I'm going, you know what? We hit TP1 yesterday. We hit TP1 and TP2. I gave you guys those levels. And my levels for the day are breakout 25,915. We need the candle to close above that. We need a 15-minute candle to close above that. You get that. We're rocking and rolling 26,132. At the very least, 26,100. That would be my upside target. My final target was 26,165. I went up you on that. My TP2 for the day would be 26,236. Come on. Oh my God. They don't want to get it up there. I'd like to see the 132. I'm going to hold this as long as I can. I'm going to hold this as long as I can. As long as they don't stop me out, I'm just going to keep riding it up. Maybe if we can get to 26K, I want to see what we're going to do there. That's going to be like an interesting spot for me. Because if we get through it aggressively and we hold, I might even just add a contract in it going for 26,100. So I might just add a con up there just to try to see if I can get that next leg up. Dang, that's a great trade right there. That is a smoking trade, Tiff. Okay. Okay, now. So you see it, you did it. What's the next step? What is the next step? How do you seize that tomorrow or the next day? No, you can transfer it. You did it on paper, so you can see that trade. That trade is part of your arsenal. The better question you need to ask yourself now is, why are you not taking it? What is hindering you from doing it? Take a two con, leave that runner. Leave the runner. The runner will do it for you because that's the free trade. You need to create the free trade. If you're not creating the free trade, there will never be a free trade. Because no one's going to give you a free trade, Tiffany. I'm sorry. In this market, it is doggy dog, but there are no free trades here. The only person that's going to give you a free trade is you yourself. So you have to create that opportunity for yourself. Dang, Woodward, 25,811. Woo. Man, that is, you've been holding since for a minute, huh? You gotta have to go. Like right off the break, like at 9, like about 30 minutes after the bell, you just got into that rep. Probably right around here somewhere. You probably got it right when it was just breaking out. Oh, look at that. We're almost even now. Want to hear something funny? I forgot to shut down my daily profits. So now I'm locked out. So I cannot bring my balance down for consistency. I am in a worse position since I made more trying to lose some. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely tomorrow. So, oh man, San Antonio. Jeez Louise. I mean, that's what we're talking about. See, that's what we're talking about. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you screw up your consistency and if you think you can go back and lose that money, you're gonna make more money. And then you're gonna kick yourself because then you're gonna feel stupid because you're gonna feel like, why is it easier to make money to make money when I'm trying to lose money than when I'm trying to make money and not lose money? Ah, it's like what the front door? Like, what did I do? What did I do? I show up for work every damn day, right? You feel targeted, right? You feel targeted, right? Well, rightfully so, because you targeted yourself. That's why you walk away, my friend. Look, I want you here. We all want you here. We love your company. But you know what? You gotta know what you're doing and the adverse consequences. I've tried to do that stuff myself, and I know exactly what you mean. Shame on me. I've done that. Lose money just to bring my consistency, and then yeah. And you got to oversight, man. It is a big. You know what? But think about it. Think about it. Think about what's being said. Then you got to oversize just to lose. And, you start doing all kinds of stuff like that. You're setting yourself up for failure. Now you've basically thrown yourself into the fire. So that is the last thing you want to do. That is the very last thing you want to do. You do not want to be like all nonchalant, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna oversize and X, Y. That is not what you want. You are putting yourself at huge risk at that point. And you have to realize the psychology that you're starting to go through. You're now putting yourself in a high stress environment. So, because you're subjecting yourself to a high stress environment, you're not going to think clearly because normally your trading is not happening in that type of high stress situation. Normally, your trading is just like, oh, I took my trade, I lost, I made, blah, 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 right? Most of your trades are going to be like that. So the minute you flip the script and you put yourself in this crazy, like high stress, do or die trading situation, you're out of your comfort zone. You don't normally trade there. You don't know what happens. So now you're running the risk of you're going to make bad decisions. You're not adequately training yourself. You're not doing the mental Olympics you need to do to be ready for that. You blame Steve? You know what? Some people do. Some people do blame Steve. I only blame Steve on Thursday. That's the only day I blame Steve. Nah, I don't blame Steve. I don't blame Steve. Can't blame Steve, man. You gotta blame yourself, man. It's hard, man. You know what? There's not if you don't take responsibility for your actions in real life, IRL, you're going to be the worst trader ever. I'll promise you that. Because you're not going to take responsibilities for yourself as a trader. It will mean that you will trade the way you are in real life, that you don't take responsibilities for your actions. And I think being a trader means you have to take responsibilities for your actions. And I think that's the growth that a lot of people, have a stigma from is because, in so many aspects of normal life, you don't take responsibility for anything, right? It's your boss's fault. It's the customer's fault. It's the economy's fault. It's everybody's fault but yours, right? You're like, hey, I showed up. I did my job. I'm there. I'm smiling. I turned in my paperwork, right? It's someone else's job. But in trading, it's all you. You can't blame nobody else. You can't say, oh, it was Tomas. Tomas messed it up. Oh, it was Steve or, it was Blasky. It was whoever. You can't blame anybody but yourself. You're the one that's hitting that button that says buy or sell. It's a nice push now. We're green on the day. Made up my losses now. Can we get to 26K? Amaro, nah. It's Steve's fault. Then cuidado, my friend. You watch it. He's listening. He's here. Well, oh, wait a minute. He's deafened. No, you got a hard pass because he's deafened right now. Hopefully he's not watching the stream. I wouldn't push those buttons, man. I would not push those buttons. Dang, look at that push. I'm glad we got in this. It's 25,930 now. Let's go. Let's go. You got about 33 seconds left on this 15-minute candle now. And this candle is closing above my 25,915 mark. So let's go, bulls. Let's go. Absolutely. Woodward, if you're green, then yeah, you should. I would. I've You know what? The last few months, I've started to do that myself. Is just set my trade and just set it and walk away. Because I don't want to. I don't want to limit my gains, and I know I can. I can choke up my trades too much occasionally. I suffer from that. You got out early. 26,162. Yeah, I'm gonna look for 26,100. That's kind of like where I want to be. That's kind of where I want to be. 26. Let's see how we get through these levels. We really got to see how we, work through these levels if we're going to continue to be bullish or not. Not too bad. 125 up now. You just want 25,950. Yeah, I could see a little bit of resistance. That's why I got 959 there. That's a 4-hour support resistance mark right there that I got drawn out. Forgot, on the trade seat chart, I don't have all my levels marked out. So thank you, Prawn, for pointing out for me to go and check some levels. Because honestly, I was taking it for granted that I just didn't have anything there. It is lunchtime. That's right. We're halfway through New York lunch, Tiff. We're looking pretty darn bullish, though. I kind of don't want to give this up, though. You know what? I'm going to take my profit. I'm going to take my profit because I want to be close to break even. Oh man, don't tell me you're not gonna close me out. That way, at least see now I'm $4 in the hole. I'll just wait for the pullback and we'll re-enter on this. Oh man. Well, I'm kind of glad I got out of that. Oh yeah, I'm real glad I got out of that. Well, not bad. We're only $4, four and a half in the hole now. It's our ratio at what? 68%. Man, well, we're up 172 from yesterday. Okay. So we made up our loss from yesterday. Good, 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 good. It's gonna be a nice short too. You know that? Coming out of New York lunch. You could just short this whole thing right here back down. Imagine that. Hmm. 914, 916. No, I had said I didn't take a 916. I had taken 875. 915 is breakout support, so we got to hold this. So we got to maintain above this for the upside move. So if you want to take out that 26,100, we have to stay above that mark. It wouldn't necessarily be a support zone, although it could turn into support. So the U.S. is not forcing a full blockage, but they are enforcing enforcement on the sea on ships that are along the Iranian side. Can we hold a 9 EMA? I mean, unless they're gonna take us out of New York lunch and just continue ripping us up to the upside. Although, going into New York lunch, we were kind of starting to consolidate. I will say that. Coming into New York lunch, we were starting to consolidate a little bit, and then we started to get that move up. And 915 is holding quite nicely. Those Bulls ain't giving up. Let's go, Bulls. Still holding. Did you take that long off of 915? Prawn? I didn't take it. I wanted to see if maybe we'd pull a little bit further back. I thought we might pull maybe a little under it, maybe 858, maybe right in this range here. I was thinking that maybe we get a little pullback and I maybe start scaling in. Damn, tipped. That's some crazy consistency, bro. Man, now you're 762% consistent. Now man, see, you're so consistent, you're over consistent. You go, you overachiever. Man, I have a bunch of those too. I have a bunch of those too. But yeah, nothing crazy. Nothing I can't manage. I think I'm close now. Like the last 2 days, I think I balanced. Like I said, I want to see a little bit further pullback. I want that 858. I want the 858, and then I'll take the long, and then we'll ride it back up. We'll see if we can take out that 2600. I'll put my bid right here. I want right there. Don't come back. Trust. The entry was negative 222, negative 333 points. See, bye, hon. So hello, my friend. That's me, man. I love giving discount. I love giving discounts. And if you guys haven't taken advantage of our great discounts that we've got going on right now, then ask yourself, what can you do with $29? I will tell you, friends. Well, for today, you can get yourself a brand new 100K launch plan for just $29. That's right, guys. We've got a great sale going on. Launch 100 for $29. Ends the 17th at what is that, like 5 p.m.? Yeah, it ends at market close on the 17th. So hey, if you guys are looking on the fence about joining, getting an account, $29 could change your life. Exactly. Free accounts. That's not up to me. NASCrack. Oh my goodness. What a crazy move on the market. I do options. I'm not trading options right now in this market. This would have been a great week to trade options though. But the market has been so just volatile. I hadn't had any good moves on it. And then yesterday when it ripped, of course I didn't have my options account open. So I kind of got sidelined on it. I trade what the Qs, SPX, XSP, IWN. Sometimes I'll trade GL or what I'll trade silver sometimes, and sometimes gold. I only trade gold and silver when there's zero DTEs, though. I don't trade them normally if there's no zero DTEs on them. So I'll keep an eye on them and stuff, but not like daily. But usually it was the Qs and IWN. I like IWN because it's cheap. You can get cheap cons. Dang, maybe we should have held that trade a little bit longer, right? All right, there's our 15-minute mark. 15 minutes till glory. What? They ended the PDT rule today. Hey, congratulations, traders. Today marks the end of PDT rules. That's awesome. So, in case you guys didn't already know, options traders are no longer having to adhere to the $25,000 base minimum requirement for day trading options. So, yes. So, it's an intraday standard now. Oh, Weeble. I should on Weeble. Sorry, I'm just hearing the news. The 25K rule is gone. So it depends on your if you're using a margin account. They're gonna give you a kind of like a flexible margin amount, but you'll still get a PDT rule if you over leverage. Hmm. So April, late June, that should roll out everywhere. So yeah, options players are printing a day on anyone. Which platform? Yeah, yeah, I know, man. I am not happy about it. I know that, man. I know that. I thought about it yesterday. Do you know how stupid I felt yesterday when I saw friends of mine? They were taking SPX contracts that they bought for $3 and they sold them for $700 in the last 15 of the day. So yeah, I know that specifically. I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. Right there with you. It's not fair. So not fair, right? But you know what? That's just the game sometimes, the game is like that, man. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's what they say, right? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But it's going to be really interesting with this whole, new PDT rules coming in because it's going to bring a lot of players into the market. What I would ideally like to see is I would like to see margin requirements on futures brought down. I think that the margin requirements should be brought down on the mini micros, just to make it a little bit easier for retail to get into those. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are platforms that you can do it for $50 a con, which is cheap. That's not bad. But the most of them aren't that cheap. Most of them you need a lot more margin than $50 to even take a mini micro. All right, Joe, you're waiting for 7K on ES, huh? We're close. Let's go take a look at MES. Okay, maybe not. It's pushing. Yeah, it looks a little bit better than what NQ is doing. Man, I should have bought back in at 16. That was that next re-entry. I could have taken one more time for this. Ugh. There'll be another pullback. There'll be another pullback we can get in on this. I'm short on crypto. Algos just threw me into a short on crypto right now. Short Solana right now. Markets drop 2%. You get intervention from the plunge protection team. Market rips 2%. They keep buying. It's rigged. You know what? You're right. It is rigged, Tip. That's why I gave up trying to understand that stuff, man. You know, we don't get a ripper protection team, but you get a plunger protection team. Hey, but you know what? Hey, somebody's going to be on the winning side. Nasty little rejection there on ES at that 7,000 mark. Stuffed it back down to 6,995. NQ also rejecting. We're about 9 minutes away from the top of the hour, team. That's right, 9 minutes till the end of New York lunch. I hope you guys grabbed a coffee, a fresh cup of water, a bagel, or a taco because we got a whole lot of trading day left. You need the opposite of a taco. What would that be? I wouldn't even know what that would mean. Does that mean you want a euro? Euro? You want some falafel? Damn, you're gonna make me hungry, Tip. Nothing to say. I have a breakfast taco my wife offered me in the refrigerator, and me like a wahoo, I didn't even pick it. I was like, no, I'm fine. Oh, this short is working out really, really good now. Oh man, yeah, I'm up 4% on this crypto short right now. Let's go. Come on. Man, crypto is dumping. That's a nasty sell. Am I shorting? No, I'm not shorting right now because I don't have a reason to. I don't have a reason to short right now. So if anything, I'm just waiting for an entry for a long for a continuation to the upside. We'd have to get under 25,872 for me to start wanting to really short this. Oh damn, that short on crypto is working out real well though. Huge. I'm up like almost 7% on that Solana short right now. Hmm. Holding the 9. Hearing some tech is starting to roll over, some Tesla. Trump does something unhinged when the markets are ripping instead of pushing them higher. You shorting this prawn? Trying to get a little bit of that sell. Let's see what the bears do for us. Let's see if we can get down to 25,897. I got 5 minutes left till the end of New York lunch, team. Dang, crypto is freaking going. Crypto is giving up all of its morning move. Oof. Maybe we should short this. I mean, we have a pretty well-defined risk to the upside, or stop would be at 25,940 to the downside. It's looking gross. That's really interesting. Yeah, crypto's still selling. I thought it might just be a taking profit. But if a risk off asset like Bitcoin is starting to sell like that, I would imagine the rest of the market might be as well. Maybe there's something coming down the wire that hasn't hit yet. Yeah, you didn't answer my question, Prawn. Are you shorting this right now? It's looking weak. Although, I mean, they could just consolidate us here the rest of the afternoon and just leave us here. We're between like two rough spots right now because I've got to sell the reversal like on ES at 6,967. Let's move over to NQ because I know it's right there too. NQ's reversal spot will be at 25,729. So if you get to 729, expect it to really start selling and you'll get into the lows. Oh man, crypto is still going. Dang, I should have held that short longer. Kiwitas. Yeah, it is super far away. They could just toilet this there, and be fine with it. I mean, we could have like a 200 point, 157 point drop. No problem at all. I'm gonna reset this because it's a little laggy. I could tell. Can the Bears take it from the Bulls though? That's the real question. It's been a bullish market, but can the Bears take it from the Bulls and start to send us lower? Trend is still just bullish though, and look, the Bulls are still fighting. There we are. There we are at the top of the hour, team. Welcome to the end of New York lunch. Back above my breakout spot here. Huh? Man, they are fighting this level tooth and nail. Well, I'm glad I didn't take that short. I'd already be stopped out. I'd already be in drawdown. Yeah, Bulls are still here. They're not letting this go. Poor Bears. Look at that. Trying to short this thing and still can't. They might get it at some point, though. They might get it at some point. still holding though. It's just weak though at this point. You know what I'm saying? There's no strength in it. Volume's kind of dried up. I mean, there's a lot of volume though. There's about 6,000 orders on the chain. They just can't do anything with it. You got so much selling pressure above. It might take a minute for us to try to get through it if we're going to get through this to the upside. What do you guys think about that? You think this uptrend is still intact? You think they can maintain it? Keep pushing us up, slowly grinding. Looks like crypto's still selling, pushing lower. They try to bid it up, but no. Woodward thinks that the uptrend will continue. Yeah, same here. It's just, well, how long is it going to take for them to get off the fence and do something with this? Probably hold this range. Same. That's what I'm thinking. But if they can get us under the 9 or the 26, then we're not going lower, And if worse, we'll end up just riding the 90 EMA. You guys know that. Y'all seen that before plenty of times. When the market will just coast on the 9. Give you 7K, right? Like the rest of us, all waiting for it. Yeah, but we might lose it though because we can't get above. So we lose it. Mm-mm-mm. 22. Let's go. All right. You getting that push now? It's like crypto's starting to bounce again. Make up for that little sell that they just took. Nas still ain't doing nothing. Buyers and sellers still fighting over which way to take this thing. Continue on upward, take out that 26,132, or sell us back down to 25,729. I'm still bullish on the day, but I'm normally bullish. So gold is moving. Well, thank God something is moving because this thing is not. It's just stressing me out. Do we take a look at gold? Let's go take a look at MGC. Oh, look at that. Gold is moving. Damn. Good eyes, good eyes, good eyes. 4866. Nice. Let's see. Let's see what we got in the 4 hour. Oh, well, you're almost, you're like right there. You're like at a resistance. I would go for 4869 myself. Let's take a look at this. Because Nasdaq ain't doing nothing. I'm looking on the other chart, but I'll keep an eye on gold. I'm down to make some money on some gold. I'm down $4. We need some money. How do I like trade C? You know what? I think it's really, really cool. I do like it. The only problem I'm having is that for some odd reason, my chart gets real laggy, like in the middle of me using it. So, and I can't put my finger on why it's doing it. I've tried in Edge and Chrome, and both of them will start to lag, like right in the middle of me just watching the chart. Like right now, I just have my normal stuff open for my streams, but I always end up with having to reset the chart because price is not where it appears. So it's a little frustrating to kind of be dealing with some of that, you know? Tradeify. Oh, really? Wow, that's cool. Yeah, it'd be kind of neat if we had a vendor out here one of these days. I'm sure we probably could. I think we did have them on. I think we did have them on for a little lecture or something here a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think we did have something like that here in the Discord. They never answered any of your questions though. A million questions. Oh man, I have a trouble ticket open with them about my issue. I told them I was like, you can take a look at my stream and see what's happening, and they want me to break down like specific points in my stream to show them what's happening. So I have to sit there and get some timelines and send them to them so that way they don't waste their time troubleshooting their product. Need a platform to show PDT like Project X. I like it though. I do like it. It's still in beta, so you know it's just one of those. It's just gonna get better. I was thinking that it might have been my candles, so like now I'm using hollow candles, thinking that that might help, and I think it helps a little because it doesn't get as laggy as fast. Like before, it would get real laggy real fast. Like right now, the gold actually looks like it's good, but if I go to like MNQ, it'll get real laggy real fast. So the bulls are going to step in. You go back and forth. You wish you had a break even button. I don't normally use that. I just put it on the chart. I'm usually fast enough that I can move my stop. Unless the chart gets too laggy, then yeah, I'm obviously kind of stuck like Chuck. That would be nice to have that. You know what? I guess you're right. Yeah, now that you mentioned that, having the break even button would be kind of nice because I could just hit it and then just refresh and hopefully the break even takes hold. No unregular and hollow, but yes, you're yeah. No, I do like it though. I like the way the candles react because the candles kind of pulsate and then gives you the sensation of like the Ninja Trader chart, which I think is what's absent from the Trading View chart. The Trading View chart doesn't offer you that type of price action on the chart. It doesn't look as wicky. You don't see the candle pulsating. In the buy and sell orders like that. Oh yeah. You're right. I hadn't really thought about that. I never really used hollow candles. I was just hoping it would help my chart stay a little bit more like fast. I mean, for the most part, I have all my other charts open. I mean, literally, I have my main chart right next to it. So if anything, I would be trading off of that other chart, not this one. Like a little W right there. Dang it. Hope this thing doesn't just get a push right there. It looks like it wants to. The 15-minute candles look gross. Look at this. Look at how choppy the 15-minute candle is. Like chop, chop, chop. Wait, what does it look like? Oh, it's because I have it smushed on the other chart. I have the other chart like this. So it looked like super small. I didn't realize it's more like that. Never mind. Is that bull flag still holding though? So let's see. And there's a top of the flag right here. It'd be like, yeah, maybe I should have stayed on the 15. But we should get a pull back and then the leg up. Something to that effect. Well, well, you know what it basically is. Basically, what's happening right now is you have retail investors that are holding same day expiration contracts. So you got traders that are trading the options chain with contracts that expire today. So ideally, the market doesn't want to go anywhere because market makers need to stay delta neutral. They need to maintain neutrality in the market. What that means is all those people that are longing the market and shorting the market are the opposite of the neutrality. It means that the market will be trending in one direction. So the market makers have to keep it. You have to keep it neutral because when they do that, that means that the market is eating money and it's eating all those people that are betting that the market is going to go up or sell down. and through the day, that's where the Greeks start to show up, and they start to have their lunch and feast on those contracts because, you got theta, you got decay that starts kicking in, as you inch closer towards the end of the day, that expiration, they lose value. Their significance and worth diminishes, exponentially as the day goes by. And that's really what the market wants to do. It wants to do that because it needs that money. That's the real money right there. That's the money that drives the market. You hate options? I love options, man. I love options. I can't think of a better mechanism in the market than the options, market, because you could take $3 and turn it into $700 like somebody did yesterday. You can take $3, you can take $7 and turn it into $2,000 in a day. You can only do that in one market, and that is the options market. So it's one of those that you got to understand it and know how to use it and respect it, because just like the market giveth, the market taketh. And you know what, more often than not it can take. So you know 7K incoming. You're right, there's 25,942. I'm feeling a little left out on this parade. I'm not happy. Not happy. No, no fun. I'm being too patient here. I'm on the wrong damn timetable. That's what it is. Oh my god. And there's that W just breaking down. I wonder if we'll start to flag out of this and just go pshing. We could. You got back in where you got out. Right on. Let's go. No, man, I love zero DT. I love the market. The market is fun. It's very, very difficult, but it can be fun. If anything, I wish I could buy more. How about that? If anything about the market, I wish I could buy more. I think that's the biggest, dilemma I have. Right? It's the story of all of our lives that we wish we could buy more. Hey, but that's why we're here trading futures, right? That's why we're trading props, just like you said. We're using other people's money to make you guys money to change your life. And that's why we're here, right? Because one day, hey, maybe you might have that scratch. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, look at you. You already have an understanding of options and stocks. So you're already exposed. You know what there is. You just know it's just not time right now, right? You got to do what you got to do here, and maybe you throw a little scratch over there, and you'll be trading some options in no time. But day trading options is crazy hard. I got me and a few buddies, and yeah, we used to do it all the time. Touch 7K. Oh my God. You see that wick on NQ? Look at that. 25,956 is your new high a day. Let's go. God, man, why am I sidelined on this? Look at this. I was long at 775. Stopped out. Took another long here. Oh my God. We're at a resistance spot now. So let's see if we get a little bit of a pullback into maybe 930. Boom. There you go, brother. 7K on ES. Wow. Look at NQ ripping faces off. Come on. Sitting a new intraday high at 25,955. Going after that 26K. A little bit of a rejection there. I'm waiting for a pullback so I can try to get in on this. So, not to worry. I am not just sitting here like, anything. I'm just waiting. I should have. Well, by the time I drew the bottom of the bull flag, we were already in this range right here. So I was already drawing this and marking the top of the bull flag. So we're at the top of it right now. So this is really kind of the interesting spot. Is it time? Is it time for this bull flag to break out? I don't know. It's crazy. Eesh, they are going to push it, aren't they? That should be a resistance spot, though. It should. Are you still in long prawn? I thought you were. I thought you were thinking about shorting. No. Congratulations, 1,094 today. Let's go. Congratulations, bro. Yeah, I'm only up like 247. I'm only up like $600 today. I took everything off, but I plan to enter along. Israel and Lebanon's meeting has already ended after 2 hours. So maybe we'll see something from Marco Rubio. It shows PDP, but not exactly like Project X and DLL. Doesn't show up unless I don't have the settings correctly. No, we can take a look at that. Well, when I take the trade, I can see my drawdown and my stop limit and my take profit, what those are. But I don't see like, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't give me my account information here. I thought it did. It was giving my my information here. Oh no. Can we hold a nine? Hmm. Still got 2 minutes on this 15-minute candle. PDP shows, but not exactly like Project X. Yeah, it might show up differently. They may not look exactly the same. It might just be one of those things that you just have to get used to them having a different look. Still got a minute left on this 15-minute candle. I'll see a little bit more of a pullback on this next 15-minute candle. Let's see if we can get to that 25.39. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna throw a bid there. 23 seconds on that next 15-minute candle. It's gonna put us at the bottom of the hour also. Come on. Oh, it's not gonna get me in. What a dude. Come on, just give me a little wick down. Shows fine on my end. There's a bar underneath that shows where you are. Oh yeah, I don't see that. Hmm. Oh man, I didn't get in. Jeez. Oh my god. Are you serious? They didn't give me. I didn't get swoopy swoop. I got into that, right? Oh my god, I didn't. Why? Oh, I just want $5. I just want $5. Oh man, I tell you. Just mark it in with 50 micros. Why, man? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to go in with like 5 NQ cons? Hey, no problem, Tiff. Good night. Safe rest. Be safe on the road to you and Hubs. We will see you all mañana. 50 micros, man. You're crazy. Man, well, I'm not Breezy, man. Breezy, he's like 30 deep. I've seen him with 30. But 50 commission fees is too high on that. That there's no reason to have 50. To be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. No, I know that, but I mean, I'm not here for that. I'm not here to teach our traders and our community that though. I mean, I can show gamblers all day long how to do it, but we're not here for that. And at the end of the day, I'll have a bunch of traders in the community that are blowing their account. Trading ain't glamorous. I mean, if you got the money to throw at evals that you could do that kind of stuff, go for it. You have to have a rationale and a reason why you're doing it like that. Although I do like a larger sizing, I'm not gonna deny it. And in all honesty, if I were gonna do something like that, I would just take 3 NQ cards. I wouldn't bother with 30 of them. It's not worth the trade fees. Anyway, it's not like I'm gonna scale out of 10 or 12 at a time anyway. I would be, taking them out probably at bulks of 10 at a time, and it'd be a single con then. Now I'm fairly disciplined though, but I don't like to blow accounts either. 5 macros in my spot, sometimes 10. Yeah, if you do that, yeah, 20 is, yeah, 20 is fine, but that's also dependent on account size, how big your account is. Do you have the drawdown for it? I'm up 2 Gs. I'm not trying to give it up. I've been consistent. I've been focusing on my consistency. The money will come. We're growing the account flat. I just wanted a deeper cut on the 26. That's what I wanted, and I just didn't get it. So it is what it is. Oh man, yeah. See, and that's just it. Not everybody can throw away $30,000 and not have a lot to show for it. I, for one, I'm not throwing away that kind of money. You know, I probably put, well, probably last year was probably my best year. I probably maybe threw around $3 or $4,000 on evals, so not too expensive. This year it's a lot less than that. I don't think I've broken $1,000 yet. But right now I'm stacked with 6 PAs right now. But now, I have pretty strict rules. I was only allowing myself a PA a week or an account a week to blow. And the last 2 weeks I haven't, oh, last week's, yeah, I blew one eval. I blew an eval. And that was stupid, man. I'm so mad at myself. I was $200 away from passing it. Through the midday session, I ended up $200 in the hole. And then I stuck my hand in it and I got it to 600. And then I just blew the damn thing because I kept doing it. But it was a 25K because I usually only trade the 25K accounts. So I like to grind 25Ks and stack those because I want something I can pass fast and I can get paid fast on. And it's the fastest account you can get paid on compared to all the others. Exactly. There's no reason to blow it. And I have a chance, Joe, to do one thing right now. And that's to focus solely on my consistency. So I can do something here with you guys that not a lot of other people can do. And that's I can focus on my consistency and also prove to myself, hey, you know what? Look, I'm consistent. Me taking my time, picking my trades is allowing me to do X, Y, and Z. And I can quantify it. I can go to my videos on the streams and I can look at them as well and be like, this is not glamorous. It's not supposed to be glamorous. It's not supposed to look whatever, but that will come with time, because I will I will be able to then be able to look back and reflect on it in hindsight and be like, hey man, I'm just not sizing up right. And I'm going through that right now, as a matter of fact. I'm actually going through that right now because I'm realizing that I am so consistent that my sizing is not allowing me to maybe grow in a faster process than what I would like. So, you know what? I'm actually doing some self discovery through this kind of process. Since I've been using the Trade C, that is actually something I've been finding. Yeah, that's all I go. As a matter of fact, all my accounts have a 489 exact hard max profit for the day. Well, the ones that have consistency rules, the ones that don't have that. But yeah, and it's for that main reason, just to provide the protections, because I can't remember all the accounts, and then sometimes I will add another eval. I'll add another account and I'll stack it in and bring it into the rotation, and I'll lose sight of it. I have so many numbers I'm looking at on a daily basis. I had to do that as a lately. I had to ask my wife to help me with like some stuff because I was like, I'm kind of overburdened with all the numbers and everything I'm looking at, that I need another set of eyes on some stuff just to make sure it's not being overlooked. But my trading is better than it's ever been. So I want her to take that while I focus on this, because this is kind of important right now, because my risk to return is better on this than on me focusing on the things I have her focused on. Ah, I'm leveraging my family. Pobrecita, now she's good. But yeah, I heard somebody say that you'll never be a millionaire on $200 a day. And I was like, it kind of hurt. It kind of hurt because I was like, I heard it. And I was like, I always preach on that. But, if you're copy trading, you're not. If you can leverage yourself, you know, 4, 5, 10, 20 accounts, grinding $200 a day, it becomes a very manageable task, a very easy task. I just don't want to stress myself out. Yeah, that's exactly why I grind 25Ks, because then it's easier for me to bring another 25K in. It doesn't cost me much. It's almost always under $100 for it to be funded. I don't even have to really give a damn about sales at that point because it's not $100. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always recommend to traders. I'm like, the 25K is the account to go with, especially if you're in your infancy and you're still trying to figure this thing out and you haven't gotten to where like you can pass an eval. Why are you taking those bigger evals? Take the smaller ones. You need a win. You need to do yourself a favor and a win, and you need to size down. I could do the big ones. I mean, I don't have a problem doing the larger sizing. It's just that I just don't want to trade like that. I rather do the small. And I always like to trade what I can afford. I can go to the bank, I can wire over $500 to a brokerage, and I could start trading M&Q cons with that. More than one. I could trade 3. The way I normally trade, and I feel comfortable trading, I can do that with $500. And I can't do that with an NQ contract. Can't do that with an NQ contract. Not with $500. And that becomes a very different conversation then, is because you're training yourself to do something and creating endurance and longevity in the market. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to trade what you're aware of and you have a solid understanding in it. What happens if what happens if you're like you become who you want to be, or maybe you get into a run, you can trade well, but you're struggling with the props and you're like, you want to do it raw. You'll be so accustomed to the NASDAQ that when you try to flip to MNQ, if you were to try to do it raw, you'll suffer, you know? It'll be more difficult. Man, I can't believe I missed this entry on this thing. I just hate chasing stuff. That's why I'm on the 1 minute. Got like 15 minutes till the top of the hour. You're done. Mike is so great. I just need to start paying more attention to those trades with 2 to 3 micros. You're great too, Riz. Hey, no problem. Hey, I'm glad to have you here. Mike is a phenomenal resource. You know, my best suggestion, if you're here, if you get here in the morning, you get to catch him in the beginning, at the very beginning, the first week or so, take notes. Don't take the trade. Learn what the process is. Ask the question you need to ask to figure out what brought him to that assumption to get to that point, because you need to figure that out so you can figure it out on your own chart without having to listen to him. And then if not, take a small size on it. Take start off with a single MNQ con. Be prepared for the drawdown. Don't get overzealous. Don't get anxious or feel like you missed it. Wait for the price. Because a lot of times his levels are so strong that the price will gravitate back and it'll offer multiple time for entries. So do not feel that you're missing the boat. His levels are just like that, they're significant and price always comes back to them and you can catch the trade into it. And sometimes you might even catch a better entry on it. Just think of it as the guide. He's opening the door, but you don't always have to necessarily step on the step to get on. Sometimes you might want to skip over it because maybe it's slippery and you might fall and hurt yourself. Yeah, you see what I'm saying there? It's more to give you the sense of where the market is going and stuff like that. You know, you should be taking your own trade and finding your entry and adhering to yours, and just knowing that you're trading along the same trend along with Mike. I for one myself, I try not to take his trade because you know what, I can be late to it. And at the very beginning when I was listening to him, I would get myself kind of caught up in the emotion and the FOMO that I want that trade, I want all that money, and I would get screwed over more often than not. I would take a bad entry and I would buy it at the top and it would pull back, and then I would scale in and it would pull back further, and then I was in this huge hole until I finally figured it out. Finally figured it out. His entry may not be perfect, but it might be perfect for his mindset, and he's willing to manage the risk that comes along with that trade. And you may not. So you might have to wait for the trade, and you might, like I said, find a better entry than him. It's a very funny thing sometimes in the market. I I mentioned it earlier that I like to watch some other traders, and I was watching another trader last night because I was really fascinated to see how someone else was copy trading about 20 accounts. And I found that I want to trade, I want to trade 20 accounts. I've never traded 20 accounts simultaneously. So for me to have that many, it brings a different dynamic to it because there's work that involves passing 20 accounts. So you can see that the risk involved in it is substantially higher. I may be only risking a fraction at the time in the trade, but I'm also still got 20 accounts now lined up that I know that took me a significant amount of work to also pass. So, as I looked at him and stuff, I was like, wow, I was fascinated about it. But then, you know what? I realized it was not much different than what I'm trading right now. And that's what gave me the confidence to say, you know what? I can do that as well because he was managing not the trades not much different than I've already done in my trading right now. And that's just the experience that I'm like, okay, you know what? I just don't want to be scared about it. And as long as I stick to my normal rules and hey, I have to think smart. There's 20 accounts there. There's no room for me to be degenerate and say, oh, you know what? I lost $600. I'm done for the day now. Now I'm done for the day and I can't go anymore because now me doing what I did like 2 weeks ago means that I'll jeopardize 20 accounts, not just one. So now it becomes a very different problem I can create. Exactly. I made many a trades this morning and yesterday multiple times and made money every time. I use my style along with what he's saying. It's all about size. You can't say that enough. Yeah, absolutely. Sizing is everything, I saw this guy on YouTube not too long. Well, it's been a while back. And I thought this was the coolest thing ever. He was just flipping a coin and buying or selling. Whatever the coin he flipped was what he would choose. Heads he would buy, tails he would sell. And he was doing that through the stream just to prove the basic point that it doesn't matter what you do. It's all a matter of sizing and how you manage the position. He scaled in, he waited, and sure enough, the trade would come to him. And it was the most fascinating thing in the world because he proved his point. He's like, it doesn't matter what you do in the market. You just have to manage the trade and be sensible about it. Patient, don't, oversize and have an understanding of how do you use the leverage to get yourself in a positive position in the trade so you can get out. And I was like, wow, okay. After the, watching stuff like that gave me a whole new like view of the market because I'm like, look at that. This guy here is flipping a coin and all he's doing is just DCing into the position. Oh, look, I'm up $20. I'm green. I'm out. It was like, okay, I tried it a few times and he's right. He was absolutely right. The trick with it is that you got to be fast. And once you get yourself green, you got to get out of it so that then you can reassess what is the best course of action. Okay, you scaled in enough to get yourself out. Now you're out. What should you do? Do you continue on trying to do the original trade? Do you flip and try to take the opposite direction? But very cool nonetheless. That's why you've seen me here a couple of times on stream. I'll scale in real fast and then I just get out. And that's exactly it. I already know well enough that I can slam my order, scale in real quick just to get myself even, and then boom, get out of it. But you got to be fast. Friday's a great day to do that. I do bring, folks from our audience on the stage. So you're always welcome to join us here on Fridays. It's a little bit more lax. The only thing we do ask is that you keep your volume, wherever you're at, that you're going to be chatting, that it's quiet so that we can hear you. You don't have too much background noise. And then just, watch your language because we've got folks that might be at work. At least that's what I at least ask. I'm sure it's what the team hopes as well. But just as long as you're respectful and mindful of others. But yeah, definitely. If you want to stop in on a Friday, you're more than welcome to jump in, raise your hand, and I'll bring you up to the stage. Yeah, definitely. Love to have you on here. What your style is, if you're looking for an opinion. And that's the thing about trading is that we all kind of hope for that at times. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Criticism and a second pair of eyes. Look, Prone did that. He had me go and look. He was like, "Hey, why don't you go look on some time frames? Look for some entries. Don't just sit there and wait." And he was right. He was right. We found a couple of entries. We dug ourselves a little bit out of the hole. Not as much as what I would have liked, but you know what? The day's still early. But that's the great thing about being in a community is that sometimes it just takes someone to hey, take a look at this. What about this? Have you checked out this? And all that right there, it just adds. It. And sometimes you just get a little burned out. I mean, sometimes, heck, I mean, look at me. I'm here 5 days a week with you guys. I'm here 5 days a week. I look at the charts on the weekends. I mean, sometimes I'm a little burned. Sometimes I'm a little burned out on the charts. Not to where I don't want to look at the charts, but man, it's like it looks the same. It looks the same. You need someone to, hey, Riz, check this out. Oh, thank you. Super helpful. That's the best thing about having a great community. Like I said, if y'all don't have a trade buddy, check out our chat, our futures chat. If you're looking for a trade buddy or you don't have one, throw it in the chat. Hey, I'm looking for a trade buddy. These are the times I like to trade. If anyone's available, shoot me a DM. That's how it starts, and someone to reach out. And it's really important you find folks that are available around the time that you like to be available. Because if not, it's not going to work out well for you. You need somebody you can kind of vibe with, jive with, and throw your charts at. Sometimes you don't want to do it here in the Discord. You want to have maybe kind of one-on-one. That's what trading is. It's all about like your community, talking to your fellow traders, and you start spitballing ideas back and forth. That's how it was for me. It was a free Discord with a bunch of my friends trading stocks and options. That's all. That's exactly where it started. Hey, check this out. What do you think about this? I'm thinking about this. I'm looking at this. I'm thinking about doing this. And that's what it was. And then it's the, you check this out, and then you got a relative equal high, and you look at this higher time frame, you can see that there's some resistance, and then you start kind of understanding, oh, you see that trend line. Oh, you see the resistance line because of the relative equal. That you start picking up new trade strategies. That's how you start learning new trade strategies. You start implementing them. You start stacking all those other little ideas on top of each other. Let's see what Tip's got in here. Mhm. See, you trade the 20 prop of confirms I have, but never take a payout. But thought about it now that they have an end of day. You should take a payout. That's what you should really be doing. You should be focused on that, building a strategy of how do you structure that for yourself. I definitely do that all the time. Once I'm at 1,500 in profit, I always take $1,000. I always take $1,000. That's like my first rule. I get to 1.5K and I take a payout, and then I take another payout. And I just constantly just keep doing that until I'm, just turn and burn. Let's see what Tip's got in here. Trading isn't about being right. It's about being consistent. Here are the core rules that separate emotional traders from disciplined ones. Every trade is just a probably, never a certainty. Losses are not failures. They are the cost of doing business. I can't control the market, but I can control myself. If my setup is there, I execute. If not, I stay out. Getting stopped out is part of the plan, not a mistake. One trade doesn't matter, the series does. My rules make decisions, not my emotions. Patience makes money. Impulse destroys it. Big wins come on the right days, not every day. Discipline is what creates freedom. Rule number one, follow your rules, results will follow. Rule number two, break your rules, the market will teach you. And lastly, I don't need to win every day as long as I execute correctly. I win over time. Exactly. That's all about market longevity. It costs money. You know, the most important thing you guys have to remember is every single time you buy an eval, you pay to get funded. That is real money coming out of your pocket. You've just taken a little lamb chop off your plate for someone else to eat. And you can't just be giving away free meals. You need to eat yourself. You need to feed yourself. It is great to feed the machine, but you also have to feed yourself as an athlete. I wish I could come in and show you. My style is simple and just waiting for it to set up, but they aren't there a lot. It works great with stocks because they're not so volatile. My average shares is 60 to 100,000, 120K, and I only trade Soxel. Nice. My chart is far behind. How far behind is it? 25,598. Let's see here. Ooh. There we go. That's better. That's better. Ooh, we're on the bottom side of this now. It's some volatility now. What is happening? I don't hear any news. I got my news turned down. And there it is, team. There's the top of the hour. Looks like we might be rolling over though now. If you're looking for bottom side, I would be looking for 25,913 for the bottom side of that bull flag. We're right under the top side of that now. You got your intraday high sitting at 25,968. So if you can get back above 25,960, I think you should have your bullish move for the rest of the day. That should send you up to 26,132. I'd love to hear about your trade strategy. I'm always interested in hearing on it, and I love me some leverage trades. That is my thing. So keep me away from it. No, no, no. All right, team. Well, I think with that, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I hope you guys have enjoyed the midday show as much as I have. Nice meeting some of our new folks in the audience. Hope to see you all here tomorrow. Don't forget, you've got Power Hour coming up in about an hour. We've got Coach Becky, Coach Matt coming up. They will be guiding you and navigating the markets here in the afternoon session. Hopefully, we can see that 26,132 because that is an area of interest for me to the upside. So, go Bulls, go Bulls on parade. Absolutely. Yeah. Whatever uncomplicates the process. I'm an old army guy, so I like to keep it simple, stupid. That's what my old drill sergeant said. So, I like to stick with that. All right, guys. As always, good luck in the market, and I will see you all tomorrow, team.